NBA Fantasy Salary Cap Edition, Week 15 Preview. Everything you need to know heading into Week 15 of NBA Fantasy Salary Cap Edition. Cut to host standing in front of NBA-related graphics and the title, NBA Fantasy Salary Cap Edition, Week 15 Preview. Hey, what's up, NBA fans? Welcome back to the channel. If you're diving into NBA Fantasy Salary Cap Edition, you're in the right place. Today we're previewing everything you need to know for Week 15. We've got a ton of exciting matchups ahead, and some serious fantasy point opportunities on the horizon. So let's jump right into it. First up, let's talk about the matchups you don't want to miss. It's going to be an action-packed week, and we've got some key games to highlight. On Monday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, we've got the Memphis Grizzlies, 31-15, facing off against the New York Knicks, 30-16. It's a cross-conference clash between two third-place teams, and this is only the second time this season Memphis will take on a top-3 squad from the East. Meanwhile, New York is still looking for its first win against a Western Conference contender after losing to Oklahoma City and Houston earlier this season. Memphis is rolling right now, winners of 6 straight and 8 of their last 10. Desmond Bane has been on fire, scoring 35-plus fantasy points in 7 of his last 8 games. And Jaren Jackson Jr.? Consistent as ever, putting up 40-plus fantasy points in 9 of his last 13 games. Over on the Knicks side, Karl-Anthony Towns has been a fantasy beast, averaging nearly 50 fantasy points per game. And don't forget about Jalen Brunson, who's been racking up 43-plus fantasy points in 5 of his last 7 games. This is a game you'll want to keep an eye on. Next up, we've got the Atlanta Hawks, 22-23, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers, 36-9, this Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. This might not jump off the paper, but trust me, there's some intriguing fantasy value here. The Hawks have been pretty solid against the top teams in the East, with a 6-2 record against the Cavs, Celtics, and Knicks. But inconsistency has been their kryptonite all season. Cleveland, on the other hand, has hit a bit of a rough patch, losing 3 straight games, but those were all close contests. Donovan Mitchell has been stepping up, scoring well over his usual average of 39 fantasy points per game. And keep an eye on Jarrett Allen. Even though his numbers have dipped recently, he can still explode for big performances. For the Hawks, Trae Young and Jalen Johnson have been the primary fantasy contributors. But with both of them popping up on the injury report, that's something to monitor. If they're out, keep an eye on Dyson Daniels as a potential sleeper pick. Alright, now let's talk about some key player pickups and transaction tips to help you dominate your league this week. Gershon Yabusele has been a fantasy gem lately. With injuries hitting the Philadelphia 76ers hard, Yabusele has stepped up, scoring 30-plus fantasy points in back-to-back games. He's only priced at $5.6 million, making him a great low-cost option to boost your roster. The third-year forward has been a reliable contributor, so don't miss out on him if you need to add a solid role player. Then there's Kelly Oubre from the Miami Heat. He's been taking advantage of extra minutes and has posted 30-plus fantasy points in 5 of his last 7 games. At just $5.9 million, he's a solid value pick, especially if you're in need of a center. Let's finish strong with some weekly advice. This is your time to make those crucial lineup decisions. Both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics have 4 games this week, and they're facing some weaker opponents. The Lakers take on the Hornets, 76ers, Wizards, and Knicks, while the Celtics face the Rockets, Bulls, Pelicans, and 76ers. That's a lot of potential for big fantasy points. Look out for guys like Austin Reeves from the Lakers, who's been on a tear, scoring 30-plus fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 games. Derek White from the Celtics is also a great pick, hitting 30-plus fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. And if you've got Jason Tatum or Anthony Davis on your roster, consider using your captain's chip on them. Both have been top 5 players, averaging over 48 fantasy points per game. Davis ranks 3rd with over 2,147 total fantasy points, while Tatum sits right behind him in 5th place with 2,094. It's a great opportunity to get that extra edge. So there you have it, folks, everything you need to know heading into Week 15 of NBA Fantasy. Whether you're looking to stack your team with some solid picks or play the long game, there's plenty of fantasy value to be had this week. Make sure to hit that like button if you found this helpful, subscribe for more NBA fantasy tips, and let me know in the comments who you're picking up for Week 15. Until next time, good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.